Welcome to the Beauties and Beasties podcast. Good evening.
Well, this is odd.
It is.
Back. I'm in Derry, London Derry, however you want to say. I didn't realise it was such a, well, I did realise it was such a thing, but wherever I am. It's one of them two places, whichever side of the fence you sit on. I'm not sure, but I'm in Derry at the moment, having a lovely time. Is that like going to be a nightmare? Should I move?
Just looks like something's, well, it's giving you a nice halo. That's better.
Yeah, go and have a look.
Otherwise, you look like Simon Templar.
Right.
No, you're too. You don't know, do you? You don't know who Simon Templar is, do you?
Don't have a clue now.
The Saint? Can't you remember the Saint?
No, I don't have a clue.
Okay. Well, it's going to have no meaning whatsoever then, is it?
Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm basically in a hotel room in Ireland trying to figure out how to do this as a guest. So this is interesting. We have a new guest this week. We have Mark. But before we get Mark on, Hugh's had a great idea, which was
to say thank you to all of our guests. And because I don't normally get a chance to say thank you to all of our guests, I just want to say thank you to everybody for replying to the emails that I sent through, because people must wonder who the hell's this guy sending some random email asking me to come on some podcast that I've never may never heard of. And, you know, obviously some people don't reply, but we've had some great guests, and everybody obviously that has been a guest has replied. And I'd just like to say thank you. And thank you to the people that are coming up in the next few weeks as well. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I want to say from my point of view, so the people I would most like to say thank you to is the ones who came on early as well, because early on there was a lot of hesitancy from people, and it took a few of the early guests to really test the waters, and then people started changing, didn't they? So if you were one of the early guests who said yes before you knew what you're walking into, then it's a massive thank you from me, Hugh, and Alex, who is off having a meal with his missus tonight for her birthday, I think, isn't it? Birthday dues?
Somebody's birthday do. Yes. So one more thing. Listen to this, folks. Hugh's a bastard. Got some new glasses because I spend a lot of time in front of the computer now. Help me eyes. What did you say, Hugh? Reggie Cray.
Fucking knobhead.
Or Damo do Average. One or the other. Okay. You can take your pick. Take your pick.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a great guest tonight. So, with no further ado, do you want to introduce Mark?
Yeah.
Or shall I introduce him?
Yeah. Well, you introduce him because you spoke to him, and then we'll get to where we go.
So tonight, Mark from Pestgone Environmental has agreed to come on to us and have a chat. I'm sure he won't mind me saying he was a contestant, are they contestants? On the Apprentice, ex-army, author, wrote the book Pests to Peace, which we'll have a little bit of a chat about in a minute. So without any further ado, as it were, we'll say hi. There he is.
Hello. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I was
You're
thinking
welcome.
he looked more like Ronnie Barker, to be fair, than Reggie Cray.
The two Ronnies.
Exactly.
It's good night from him, and it's good night.
4 candles, and then I got myself some new cool sunglasses.
Go on, the Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah, keep going, bastards.
That's it. What's it? Risky business, wasn't it?
Just need the trumpet now.
So, Mark, tell us a bit about yourself to start with.
Yes, so I own the pest control company in London, Pestgone Environmental. Had that since about 2016. And as you said, I was a candidate, as they call them, last year on the Apprentice, which was a bit of a hoot. And I'm sure we'll speak about that later. And yes, before that, I was a soldier for 10 years. And then I went traveling around the world for a couple of years, enjoying life. And then I fell into private security for 5 years, working out in Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Jordan, well, loads of places in the Middle East. And then, yeah, by chance fell into the pest control world, even though I was an electrician, but I hated working on construction sites. So I fell into the pest control world and I've been there ever since. So, yeah, and I enjoy it.
So I fell into pest control from being an electrician.
Yeah, so a guy I was in the army with, we served, many years, we went through basic training together when we were 16 in 99, I think it was. He was from Hull, I was from Norwich, and he sort of was a firefighter at Heathrow many years later, and he started the company Combat Pest Control here in London. His brother owns West London Pest Control, and he said, look, the private security world was coming to an end. The Americans pulled all their budgets in 2015, so everyone was sort of panicking, getting out of the security world. And he said to me, the firefighter Mike Coates, and said, look, come and do some pest control in London. I thought, well, I wouldn't mind living in London for a bit. I did it with him for about a year. I realised actually there's, it's quite lucrative. Lots of pests about in the capital city. And then broke away from Mike and started up on my own. And we're all good friends. I speak to Mike every week and he's doing well and I'm doing okay. So yes, that was it. So again, just being in the military, knowing a few people who do pest control, and there's a lot of ex-military guys who seem to be into it. So yeah, whether it's getting your hands dirty, it's sort of people are used to that, or there's another reason, but yeah, it does all right.
Do you find that you still feel like a soldier, or you still feel like you're part of the army or not?
Not so much. I mean, because that's the hardest thing. So not going too deep into it. I've had friends who've killed themselves since they left the army, sadly, but it's not so much to do with the PTSD side. It's, they've seen some horrendous things, let's say. It's more to do that you lose that identity, you lose that purpose, because when you're in the military, you're in a section of 8 people, let's say, and every one of them 8 people has a role. You're either the commander, you're the 2IC, you're the machine gun and the medic, the radio operator, whatever your role is, and you're needed. But when you leave the military, they say, right, off you go. Thanks very much for your service. And then you're on your own and you sort of lose that camaraderie and that sort of purpose. And that's the hardest thing. And people sort of struggle with that and maybe hit the booze and things. But especially if you more years you do. So friends of mine now have done 24, 25 years, and I've been going to a few of the dine outs where everyone's in their smart outfits and they're leaving the military now panicking. But yeah, so that's the hardest thing. But no, I don't feel as though I'm in the military anymore. I'm not sort of running around the streets of London. If a car backfires, I jump behind wheelie bins or anything. No, I was more just, meet up with the lads once every month. We meet up at the Army Navy game, meet up Remembrance Sunday, sort of around about November 11th. And that's our way of keeping in touch and having that bond and camaraderie and a few beers, telling the old war stories. But yeah, it's good. So you still keep connected, but yeah, you don't feel as though you're in the military. But I did spend about 2 months in Derry, where you are now, covering the firemen. All the firemen went on strike in November 2003, and they were like, right, we were in Northern Ireland, and said, right, you're going to get, we couldn't have green goddesses in the UK mainland. They had green goddesses, but because it wasn't politically correct, you said, right, you're going to have yellow goddesses. So these things turned up, I mean, it was brighter than the sun at night. These things were like, oh my God, we've got to drive through Derry in this. And when we got the call to there was a house fire, and it was Friday night, and we had to drive through Derry. Well, you should have seen all the bottles, all the windows have meshed up, but the bottles and coins and everything, dunk, 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 think, oh my God. And anyway, we went to the place called the Bogside, where the military hadn't been for many years. There was a house fire. All hell broke loose. There's petrol bombs. We're trying to put them out with the hoses and things. And it was like a carry-on sketch, but we're all like soldiers running around with hose pipes, just wetting everyone, and people are throwing stuff at us. It was chaos. But at the same time, it's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. It's because we always talk about it. Remember, we did the fire strikes in Derry, London, Derry, however you want to say it. And you go, oh, what a time that was. That was scary, but at the same time, a lot of fun, like soaking the people who are throwing stuff at you. So yes. Interesting time, but you're there now, and I'm sure you've driven around and seen the murals and things like that. So yeah,
starting to hear about it earlier, and for anyone who hasn't been, you don't feel like that's the dairy that it is now. But those murals, fucking hell, they are beautiful, aren't they? I went and seen them on both sides of the river. And some of them look like they are a print, like they've been photographed on. They're so brilliant.
Fantastic artwork.
It's unreal, yeah. But yeah, I'm about 100 yards up from Bogside.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I wandered around Bogside this morning, yeah.
Do a black, you think a lot of people go over there, the tourist thing, to do the black tour. So it's meant to be really good. And it depends who you get, whether you get I don't know how to put it, whether you get a Protestant driver or a Catholic driver, and how the stories will, how they want to tell the stories. People say they've done it with both, and it's really interesting. But I think there's a bit of trouble there. But at the same time, what it used to be to now, it's so much better.
Last night, Patricia Page, rap woman, was on the TV in Northern Ireland. That's on with. She took us into the Protestant area last night. And for anyone who hasn't been there, the weirdest thing in the world, every single curb, this whole estate was painted red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Like the whole, not little sections of it, like from the main road into the estate, every single curb was red, white, and blue.
Yeah, it's like the Falls Road and things.
It took hours and hours and hours. And she said, "You'll probably understand."
I was driving my troop commander down one of them roads where it's all painted red, white, and blue, and obviously that's meant to be, the side that are with us. And he was holding the map. This is back in 2000, and I think it was back in 2003 still. And he's like, "Can you just pull over on the road? Because I think we're lost." And I was like, "I am not pulling over anywhere around here, sir. So I'm just going to keep driving. The last thing I want to do is us two sat there looking at a map going, 'Yeah, we're lost, cut the soldiers.'" Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's really interesting, and the history over there. But yes, good times, good memories.
How come then? So you're working for Command Pest Control.
Combat Pest Control.
Combat, sorry.
Yeah.
How do you then get into your mind that I want to go on my own?
It was it was a franchise with Combat Pest Control. That's what they started up and they wanted to do. But it was more of I don't know. I didn't want to keep paying a franchise fee, and I thought, well, I'll start up on my own. But the worst thing was the amount of money I had to keep putting in my savings into Google. I think it was about £2,500–3,000 a week at times, just paying Google. And it was I'd come out of the military or the private security with a good 6 figures in the old bank, just over, and it just kept getting whittled away on Google advertising. I think this has got to work, and we've got a couple of guys in. And they were doing most of the work, and I was sat at the computer just constantly, and I'd work from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. Just sometimes I'd go out in the middle of the night just to go and do some jobs just to get the money, and it was panic stations. But I knew that we could get rid of Pest. That was the main thing, because we were doing a good job. And not only that, you could hold a conversation with people. Do you know, that was always, I found, like what I was hearing about other contractors. They might not speak English, or they were doing certain things wrong, just putting poison down in the open, and pets can get to them and things, or kids. And I thought, well, surely, I know pest control is seen as a bit of a derogatory industry. I've always, people have said that when it's not. So I thought, well, rather be an electrician and a small fish, in one of them ponds, I thought maybe if I go into pest control, I'd be able to sort of conduct myself in a decent way from what I'm hearing, then maybe I can be a bit of a bigger fish. So that was it, really. Not disrespect to any pest controls, but I was hearing sort of stories and going and putting right other companies' wrongs, if you like, not blocking certain holes or not knowing where to look. And being an electrician, you just, quite easy where to follow the electrical cables to where they come into the building, or the pipe work and things like this. And yeah, as long as you knew a bit about construction, it was fairly easy. That was me personally.
So then you go off on your own as such.
Yeah.
And what, you just mainly domestics, or how did you take it from there?
One of the guys working for us, he see something come up, an ad for a well-known hospital, a private hospital in London. And you had to pay some money to get the contact, from this website. So I think we paid 60 quid to get the contact for this hospital, and wrote off to them and had a meeting. And we got down to the last 3 with collab and rent a kill, and I was panicking. I sat up for about 6 hours doing this tender, trying to get all the pricing right. And then after 3 or 4 meetings, they're like, "Right, we need to look after this hospital." And you think, oh my God, now we're really into it. It's sort of, nearly off 6 figures over a 4-year contract, and thinking, blimey. So when people like that are trusting you, and that came down to the ex-military thing, yes, and then mainly it's domestic. We do about 85% domestic and about 15% commercial. But yeah, it's mainly pubs, restaurants, offices. But in London, it's great. There's so many pests and things. That's why we're in a good location. But yes, enjoyed it.
So you didn't make a conscious decision to either say I'm going to be a domestic pest controller or I'm going to be a contract pest controller, just whatever came along.
It was initially, but then after about a year, we could see that, from what we could see, that the money would actually be in domestic work, because you can get in and get out of a property within 2 or 3 weeks and get the job done, get the money in the bank, rather than some of these commercial contracts where, we did jobs for the councils and it was 90 days payment policy and things. And that would then slip to, 180-day payment policy, and you're getting into arguments, things. And it's never easy, some of them commercial contracts, especially if you're looking after, I don't know, a fruit and veg shop down the road, and they're not doing what you say. They've got gaps underneath the doors and things, and they're constantly getting mice, and you think, God, all this hassle for this small amount of money. Whereas if we go to a domestic property, we can get in, get out within 3 hours, and we were earning so much more money with less stress doing that. So that's why I focused on that. And then I spoke to a couple of the guys at the Kill Gym, and they were telling me about some of the big contracts, the supermarkets, Sainsbury's and things, and some of the problems that the big companies are having, constantly going back. And I was thinking, and then you hear they don't really make a great deal of money on that. It's just having them as, as a contract. You think, well, maybe that was the right thing to do, to stay more domestic, because you can get in and get out quicker. That's what I've seen personally, and that's why we do more domestic than commercial. Thoughts?
Fair enough. So
you've got like Hugh, who is proper commercial, and then you've got me, who's pretty similar to you. So we're at other ends of the spectrum, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it might be geographical location as well might be a big player. But where are you based, Sean?
Middlesbrough in the northeast.
Okay, so is that that's sort of a major city, isn't it?
It's not. No, it's not that big. I
was just thinking more like close to Newcastle, isn't it? So if you sort of go into that territory.
I don't know. Me and you speak about this all the time, don't we? And the contracts and all that. And I think we're going to have to look at them. I don't know how we scale our business without it. I just find contracts boring. I don't know what you think. I just think they're boring.
Yeah, it's a lot of, as they say, the box kicking and things like that. And, we look after offices that we've gone in and we've sealed up. We make sure that, let's just block all the holes up first of all, and they trust us. And as you say, the guys are going around, just going to the kitchens or the storage rooms or, whatever, the server rooms, checking the boxes. And it is just, as you say, it's very mundane. It's very boring, because you're not getting any activity if you've blocked all the holes up. Occasionally the kitchen might have an insect infestation, such as, I don't know, a storage beetle. And you think, oh, finally we've got something. You know what I mean? Let's empty all the foods out. But that's as exciting as it gets. Whereas you always say on your toes, but domestic, at least you've actually got something to get rid of. You're here to do a job, and there is a pest here. Whereas the commercial ones we look after, they don't really get too many problems, unless it's sort of a restaurant. Then occasionally you might get a mouse once every 3 or 4 months, or things like that. You think, you get a call out.
Little Hugh, ears have just spiked up, because that's your ideal, isn't it?
Restaurants.
Like a contract where you don't get a problem and you go in 9 times out of 10, like that is you and you're happiest, isn't it, Hugh?
Yeah, definitely.
You're down in Somerset, so what's it like? So obviously, being in London, we've got restaurants that are next to the bloody underground station, and that is just chaos, because there's mice just rife in the underground. They're coming up and they're going straight to the restaurants. But Somerset, I'm not sure what you think.
That's Neil's piped in there. Good to have a mix of commercial and domestic, because the commercial work can normally get into at any time between the other work. That's it. So we like to have a bit of a spread of both.
It's great. The quiet days, get the commercials done.
And the thing with the commercial contracts for us is that they are forecastable within reason. You can look at them and you can think, right, I've got 300 contracts here. That is going to bring in X, Y, Z. So then everything on top of that is a bonus if we can fit them in. And just because I'm ex Rentokil, we were always told contracts are king, and a story. And the ideal contract is somebody that just wants you there for peace of mind, really. Don't spend any money on prep. go in, do your job, write the report, go out again. The worst probably for us are probably farms, where you're sticking down tons and tons of bait. Well, not tons, but lots of bait, takes lots of time, lots of problems. Nobody ever listens to what you're saying. But again, we've got, you know, they're enjoyable because it is different. And it's, I think for us, if we had contracts all the time, just contracts, I think everybody would blow their brains out.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, we found, like, being in London, the contracts, actually, some are just too problematic, such as you say, we had a big Italian restaurant right in the heart of Oxford Street, and just off Oxford Street, and it was a nightmare. Just constant mice, and they were just coming, you know, someone would film a mouse running underneath the door of the main. They say, we told you, you need to get sort of, you know, either little chamfered steps, or draft excluder is not the best for this property. So, but they wouldn't do it. They didn't care. And you're thinking, well, you've got all bins outside, you know, the back and the front. Mice are just running in. So we just had to say, look, it's just becoming, you know, it was every 2 or 3 days, it was just mice. And all the baits were going, so, and it was prolificum, so we knew that we were killing mice. It's just that there's just too many of them. So it got to the point where we just said, look, this contract is not worth our time. So we just fobbed it off in the end because it wasn't worth our time.
I'm going to say that's a completely different scenario. I'd be like, oh no, I don't want to come here every three. You know, we'll offer you free call out. You know, we'll do a visit every month or every 6 weeks. Get free call out in between. It'd be like, oh my Christ.
Yeah. Plus, you're going into central London, so you know. When we didn't have vehicles, we've got electric vehicles now, but when we had like diesel vehicles, you got a congestion charge of £15 to add on to that. And, you know, these restaurateurs, they just don't want to pay the money. It's just saying, well, £75 plus VAT, the call out. So it's 60 quid we'd make after the congestion charge, but then the hassle of them might be an hour to get into London and an hour to get out back to sort of southeast London to go and do a domestic job. You think, well, that's, you know, and then half hour, 2.5 hours. Yeah, parking as well. So there's 2.5 hours plus for 50 quid. And you think it's just not worth it. So, yeah, whereas you can go and do 8 domestic jobs or 10 domestic jobs within a small area and, you know, earn over £1,000 or more than that. So you can earn £2,000, let's say. And it's so much easier than doing 3 hours.
That's quite an outlay, though, isn't it? If you've gone electric,
not too bad. So, yeah, we bought brand new vehicles, the Nissan EMV 200s, but it saves us money. So when we do go in, do all the contracts, the guy might just park up in central London and just walk to most of them. But yeah, it's not too bad, and it costs us. We had one diesel vehicle that cost us £250 a week, just a week, so £1,000 a month. The electric vehicles now to charge are £25 a week. So it was 10 times more to have a diesel vehicle than on these electric ones. So we're saving so much money on just having electric.
The one thing I wanted to speak to you about, and I don't want to miss the opportunity, was it yourself who gave the talk at the Pest Force conference?
No.
Oh, it's different, Mark. I thought it was you. There's another Mark. I keep trying to hunt him down, and I thought it was yourself who would give it, but we're going to have to find out who that is, Hugh.
Why is that? What was he talking about?
But he spoke about like just working on your own and things like that. But the lads who were there, I wasn't there, obviously, but the lads who were there said like afterwards, like everyone was like, wow, like they reckon it was just the best speech you've ever heard in your life. So if anybody knows who that is, please put the name up. If there's any Pest Force guys watching, or do watch it back, send us a message of what that lad was called. Because I can't trace him, and everyone said it was. He was talking about mental health, and I hate people talking about mental health. So I think it's become a bit of a bandwagon thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but they said the way he approached it was just phenomenal. So
yeah, there's a lot of customers that play that card. Do you know what I mean? It's affecting my mental health. Come on, guys, it's a mouse that's careful, and they say like it's really affecting my mental health. You need to come around now, and it's like we've not been around yet. You're like, right, guys, just calm down to it, you know. But that card does get played so much, but you just try and have to sort of placate the customer. But no, but I did a talk long back. There's a load of facility managers, so it's there's a veterans group that I'm on a board of. On a board, we go to have a meeting every 2 months in the Shard, and it's all about the Institute of Workplace Facility Management, and everyone's a veteran on the board. And I did a talk not so long back in the RAF club in Piccadilly, and there was people there from, cleaning companies who look after the Apple stores, and then the managing director of Pimlico Plumbers, and all these big people in there. I tried to make it a funny one because people were being really serious with their talks. So I tried to make it funny. Video start, me getting fired from The Apprentice. Everyone laughed. I had a few mates in the audience jeering, made it funny. And at the end of that, Anne Widdicombe was there. At the end of that, people were just coming up to me saying, look, we want you to go into the Apple store in Covent Garden because we're having a problem with whoever's looking after it now. We need to do this. And I was having meetings like with big companies after it, all because of this talk, just because I tried to make it a bit more humorous. And someone said to me, the only reason it was good is because you made people laugh in the room. Everyone else was being so serious. But I always think if you're going to do a talk, try and make it somewhat humorous because that will resonate more with people and they'll remember it. And we won a few contracts just off the back of this one talk. So it was quite good. So if you're ever doing a talk, I always think try and make it a bit more humorous and have a video to start with. They always say in the military, you've got to start and end your talk with a video. Engages people. Don't talk for any more than sort of 11 to 14 minutes because people tail off. Make them laugh. End with a video. See you later. That's what we were always told in the military, and it seems to work.
So with the guys, how many of guys have you got that work with you?
4. So we're only a small team.
No, that's
at one point, but that just got too stressful.
Expensive. So do you treat them like a military section? In a way,
like they would tell you, they say I'm a stickler for timings, and the vehicles have got trackers on and things. And I was always told 5 minutes before is on time and time is late. And I was once late. We were meant to have this RV, and we were all going off to Afghanistan. I turned up late for this RV. I was in charge of a section, and I was 5 minutes late. And well, let's just say it didn't go well. And I got a bit of not too much for kicking, but yeah, let's have a few punches. And I was like, oh my God. And ever since then, I was like, I can never be late. Because it happens on operations, someone can get killed. So I got a few digs and ribs. And
on time is late.
Yeah, on time is late, exactly. So the guys, they'll get a job sort of first thing in the morning. And they'll be very respectful because they're very good at their job. And it will say, right, you can get there between 8 and 9 in the morning. And they will make sure that they get there at 10 to 9. Whereas myself, I get there at 5 to 8. Prep myself, like got my kit, got this, that, and the other, and I'll go knock on the door at 8 o'clock. But they'll be knocking on the door at 5 to 9, and that's just one thing. But over the years, I've not got too stressed with it. But when they ring me up and go, I can't make that last job of the day, and I go, right, well, I'm going to look at that tracker, and you didn't make that first job at 8 o'clock, so you're going to have to go to it because you should have been there at 8. Okay, so that's it. So that's how it works. But yes, so that's the only military thing that stays with me. But don't think I'm too much of a hard ass, but timing's everything, especially when the customers wanting to get away to go to work at whatever time and they're ringing up going, your technician's still not here. You said between 8 and 9. I said, well, it's still in 5 to 9. So yeah, timing's everything. What do you guys think? Or are you happy to stay in bed a bit longer and get to the customer at the end of the time frame?
On time is late.
Yeah.
I've I've said it to people in the past, and they've looked at me and said, "What the fuck are you on about?" I'm like, "On time is late." And it's like, and my dad always used to say, 2 hours before breakfast is worth 4 after. You know, get out, get on.
And to answer whatever you do. Brian's question there, only on Fridays I make them stand by there. No, I don't. Making sure the bands are all cleaned, trousers are pressed. But no.
But that isn't.
I'm a lot different to you two with me lads. A lot different. I'm like that. Like that's your list. Get it done. Get it done. Bring them up. Organise it. Get it done. I put it in your list. Sort it out. As long as it's sorted out. Don't care how you sort it. Don't care when you sort it. Just get it done. And as long as there's no, as long as the customer's happy and you're happy. Because I was like you. I really struggled early on, and I think this is when you get out, when you take your first person on. Everyone struggles with the thought that they're not going to do it their way, or they can't. You know, you hear it all the time, and I just realised, well, I'm knocking myself through thinking like that. So it's like you just got to hand the reins over, haven't you, and say like it's up to you. So maybe that went too far the other way. I don't know, but I'm just like, just get it done. As long as the treatment report's in the bank, the customer's not complaining, they're happy, you're happy, I'm happy. Like, just get it done.
Who arranges the visits then? Do they arrange the visit themselves? You say, right, here's a customer, I want you to call them up, arrange the first visit, arrange the next visit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So
it's all done digitally?
Yeah, I'll put it in there. I put it in their diary, their diary which I control on their phone. It comes in, they contact the customer, they book it in, they go and do it, they sort out the repeat visit, and we sort out the office side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the lads have just got a timing, so 8, 9, 10, whatever. So they've got 8 jobs a day or whatever it'll be, and then between 8 and 9 the first job, and then it goes down to 9 to 11, 10 to 12. Go through there, and they've got to, cause customers, everyone's busy. They want to get on with their lives, especially on a Friday. People are like, right, I want you to leave London at 2 o'clock, so can you make sure you're here before 2? And you say, right, okay, we'll put you in between 11 and 1. So the guys have got to try and hit them times. If they're going to be late, they can just ring the customer. That's not a problem. But yeah, that's another military thing. Just try and get to the timings. But yeah, it seems to work. And any problems, they'll just go to the office. And there's a girl in the office. She just takes all the emails and things and the calls. It goes from there, really. It works. That's the main thing.
That's what counts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody, they always say there's one job, there's 12 pest controllers and 12 different ways to do it.
Yeah.
So, as long as it works.
Yeah, exactly that. So whatever works for you and the location you're in and the staff that you've got, but it just takes a bit of teething, as you say, when you take someone on, there's that, I always call it skill fade. They're not going to do it how you do it, and they might miss something. But after the sort of the third time of going around to someone's job because they've not got rid of bed bugs, and you say, right, the curtains are touching the bed, lads. Look on top of the curtains. That's where the bed bugs are. Let's sit on top of the curtains because the curtains touch the bed. I've told you this before. And you're like, okay, right. Do you know what I mean? So when you're going back third or fourth time explaining something that you've already done, that's the frustrating thing. But most times everyone picks it up.
Explanation, demonstration, imitation, practice.
Right. That's it. Again, military. Is there an acronym to that?
Yeah. Eat it.
Eat it. Right.
Yeah. It works. You explain how to do something, you show people how to do it, you get them to copy how you do it, and then you get them to practice it.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, that's the way that
I'm miles off from you. Like, I'm totally different. Like, the threat with me is, do you want me to come and do it? So like, if the struggle is do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it? I'll go and do it. It can't be done. Should I go and do it?
Because people,
and then they're like, no, I can do it. What you telling us for? If you can do it, what's the problem? Or do you want me to go and do it?
Yeah.
And then if I go and do it when they said it couldn't be done, I'm like, I told you it could be fucking done.
Yeah.
Told you. Like, why couldn't you do that? What was hard about that? Like, nothing. Like, yeah, what you speaking us for?
Yeah, because most people don't be
2 hours of my day making me do that because you could have done that. And then they're like, oh. So if they come in, they'll be. I remember Alice one day. We're trapping pigeons. She said, I fucking hate them pigeon traps. The shit that don't work. I'll do it. And then it's like, oh, no, that's all right. I can do it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and he could, yeah.
Do you think that's, though, because it's so much easier to communicate now? Because like when I first started, it was like, there's your training, there's your customers, now fuck off out and get on with it. And if you wanted to know something, you had to find a telephone box to phone the office to ask somebody. So, but by the time that you'd done that, you just won't get on and do it yourself. You just won't do it, learn. Whereas now it's so easy to pick up the phone and speak to your supervisor or something and go, oh, I just got this question a minute. Whereas Sean would be like, fucking work it out for yourself. I'd be like, yeah, and you go around the corner and you go.
I tell you exactly how I would answer that. I'd go, what do you think? Talk us through it. And then by the end you go, so what did you ring me for? And they go, yeah. And I go, you didn't need to ring us, did you? No, just have some confidence. And my favourite thing is just do something. Because even if you do something and it doesn't work, you know it doesn't work. And then you've got to try something else and they'll figure shit out. You know?
Adapt and overcome, as they say.
Just do something. What the worst thing you can do is do nothing. Don't stand there worrying about stuff. As long as it's safe, go do something. And if it doesn't work,
speaking to one of the big companies, they've got I think it's Cisco. They use something called Cisco, CISCO, not the singer. But and they've got a video call. So a technician will ring up and go, hi, I'm just at a fuse board or a distribution board. Yeah, I can't do that. Okay, just go on video. And then they're sat in an office on a video. Yeah, put that there, put this there. And that's how the easy communication is these days. Okay, thanks very much. And you think, blimey. But yeah, not that we do that. I mean, sometimes the lads will do a video call and go, right, what's happening here? But yeah, I have
to admit, when my son was when I hurt myself and my son was running around doing it, the thing that I said to him is just be confident. As long as you're confident, people won't know that you don't know what you're doing.
Instills trust.
And And that's exactly what he did. And he just bowled in, "Hi, I'm Ryan from Guardian Pest Control. Just come to do your mouse treatment." And they'd be like, "Yeah, okay then."
I always throw in facts. People love facts. Like I always say, now I might be wrong with this, but I've read when I first started that, rats have the second best nose in the animal kingdom. They've got so many receptors. The first is the African elephant, and then sixth is the mouse, and then 9 is the dog, and things like this. So when they start talking, you go, yeah, well, they're following their nose. They've got the 6th best nose in the animal kingdom. And people go, oh, right. What are the facts you know about mice? You just reel off a load of facts and things, house mice, dormice, field mice, and things like this. People go, oh my God, he knows what he's talking about because he's got all these facts. And again, it's that confidence. If you can just reel off a few facts, people go, he's the one for me.
So you leave the army, you go and work for the other pest control company.
I left the army and then went traveling around the world.
Security,
for 2 years.
yeah.
So
then you're security. Then you combat pest control.
Yeah.
Then on your own.
Yeah.
So where's the Apprentice come into all this then?
So the Apprentice, I was meant to fly out to Sri Lanka. I'd booked a 3-week holiday. I'd never taken a 3-week holiday. It usually take about 10 to 15 days. But I thought this is the first time in for 6-7 years I'm going to take a 3-week holiday. I'm going to go to Sri Lanka. And I was going to be flying out on Boxing Day. And anyway, I got bloody COVID. So I thought, well, I'm going to try and maybe work my way onto the British Airways flight anyway. Couldn't do it. They were like, right, couldn't get a bloody COVID test. So I sat at home, missed this trip to Sri Lanka. I managed to get the money back. And I was like, right. And then I sat and watched television. I usually play football down in Brixton on a Wednesday night, but just so happened I'd hurt my ankle the week before. So it was about the start of January and the Apprentice was on. And at the end of the show, Lord Sugar was like, the finger comes down the TV, right? If you want to be on the next series, then get in touch, basically. And I sat and thought about it and I thought, well, I've got a business. Maybe I'll give it a go. So next day in the old office space or sat in my flat, applied and they said, well, come down to London this weekend. I think there was 2 odd days audition in London. That was Saturday and Sunday. So I went down on the Saturday and there was 10,000 people each day. There was a queue around the bloody block and they said you'd be near no more than 4 hours. So I put 4 hours on my parking outside the British Museum. Anyway, I happened to go in there and it was loads of people. It was 20 people in a room. And they were like, in you come, and it was 20 people at a time. And there was bits of paper on the floor and labelled 1 to 20. He said, right, each of you 20 stand behind the number. And I think I was 13. And they said, right, you've got 30 seconds now. There's these 3 girls at the front with notepads, and I think there's a camera or 2 looking at you. I said, you've got 30 seconds each of you when we call your number out to sell yourself of why you should be on the show. And I sort of come, number 1, and people were being really monotone. I remember this one guy, he had a suitcase with him, and I'd already said to him outside, I said, what's your suitcase for, mate? You going somewhere afterwards? He goes, no, because you go up through the levels in this building, and they asked you to do a party trick later on. I've got some balloons in here to do a party trick. And I was like, you are joking. Anyway, he stepped forward and was like, I think he said something like, hi, I'm a doctor. I've got a great idea for Lord Sugar. And everyone sat there going, so I thought, well, I've got to be quite a character. So when they went, well, number 13, I stepped forward and went, right, everyone, pin your ears back because you are looking at the Series 17 Apprentice winner. The reason I'm going to win is because I'm opinionated and I'm a bit of a charmer, as you can all see. And everyone started laughing. So I thought, step back. And then there's a few other people and someone commented and went, I'm like this geezer here, a bit of a charmer. And I thought, oh, someone's noticed. Anyway, they were like, number 1, 13 and 5 go to the back of the room. The rest of you stand there. And matey with his suitcase. And I went, oh, it must be me gone, mate. And he went, no, I'm gone. And I was like, oh, right, fair enough. And he just sat with his suitcase and wheeled it out. Anyway, I went through the levels then, and you go and speak to someone else. And then they said, right, you're going to go up to the next floor. And then near the end of it, I mean, I'd been there 6 hours and I knew I'd got a 60 quid parking ticket by now. And and then I spoke to the chief exec of the TV company and then one of Lord Sugar's business aides. And like, they both sat there in this, like, we all sat there in this room. And they're like, right, why should you be us? And I just had a phone call whilst I was sat outside, a business phone call, and it was TJ Maxx. And they said, right, we look after all of the TK Maxx shops across the UK, and we look after, I think they said home serve buildings. And we need a quote. We've been recommended you. And I was like, well, I can't cover all of Ireland and the UK. So I mentioned this in the bloody meeting. And it was only a 5-minute meeting. And they said, right, why should you be on the show then? Because people buy into people. I said, if I said to you, and I pointed to the chief exec of the TV company, I said, if I said to you, Tesla, who do you think of? And he went, Elon Musk. And I spoke to Lord Sugar's agent. If I said to you, Amazon, who do you think of? He went, Jeff Bezos. I said, when you think the pest control industry, you're going to think of Mark Moseley. And they went, up you go. So that was it. And then the last half hour, I had about an hour talking to the camera, just stupid questions like, what's 20% of 380? How do you spell entrepreneur? Do a party trick, which I couldn't do. I was like, I ain't got a party trick. I should have got matey's suitcase. So yes, so that was it really. And then I don't know, a week later, I went down. There was down to the last 75, and I had to do a load more stuff. And then then they said, right, you're down to the last 25. We need to do some mental health tests and all this cobblers. And they said, you've been out of the country for 7 years in security. We don't know what you've been doing. So I had to get military guys and people to send references. And then eventually I got a phone call saying, and then I went to Sri Lanka. I got that 3-week holiday, and I got a phone call. I was out there, and they went, "Hi, Mark. Just let you know, on my 39th birthday, just let you know you're on the show. So you need to get back and get your business plan in." I was like, "When's it start?" I said, 2 weeks time. And I was like, I had to cancel my holiday short and fly back from Sri Lanka. And then I went on this show. That was a long story, but that's how it all evolved. And then I had meeting after meeting. I had to go in London and sit in a hotel for a week to quarantine because they were still worried about COVID. And then on a Sunday morning, got picked up, had a quick COVID test by some fancy doctor, stuck in a taxi, went round to the boardroom, and that was it. It was serious.
He caught COVID.
Yeah, I know. Well, there was people sat in other hotels. I spoke to one of them. They were sat in other hotels, and they were going, if one's got COVID, you're up. I think there was 2 boys and 2 girls extra, and none of us had any problems. So they were in a hotel for a week, and they said, right, sorry, you're not on the show. So these poor other people didn't even get on. But yeah, it was interesting, and it was fun. And then went round to the boardroom, which is a warehouse near Acton, basically. It's in West London. And then because it was the 17th series, I got a phone call on my 17th on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, which is my 39th birthday, and I was the 17th candidate to walk into the lobby, and I was like, I've won this already, people. And anyway, I got booted on week 8.
At least they won the first week.
Yeah, that was it. I managed to sort of win a couple of tasks. I think I won 5 out of 7 tasks, so I was sort of doing well, but I'd never been project manager and things. It was good fun though. But getting first task was out in Antigua. They flew us out to Antigua, and we were just running around on the beach trying to sell tickets. Then we were out in Dubai week 6, and I was trying to I was on some super yacht trying to make a load of food up for someone. And it was car crash TV, but it was good fun, and you got to sort of be associated with Lord Sugar and Karen Brady and Tim Campbell and all these people, which was great. And the plan was to get to the interview stages and then hopefully get booted, because in all honesty, no one really wants to give half their business to someone. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you've got a clientele base that's built up. And so I think Sugar actually knows this, and he always goes for like a newer business, because it's not really fair if he takes a business that's been trading for 6 or 7 years and it's already doing however many hundreds of thousands. So that was great, which I thought was good. And he went for a brand new business from one of the girls down the road. So anyway, that was a very long story.
Neil's asked a question.
Sorry,
with The Apprentice, are you based in a hotel all week? Do the episodes get filmed in one day per episode or over multiple days?
No, so you're basically you're in a house full time. So just the 2 days before I was about to go into the taxi to go to that first boardroom 0, they take everything off you. They take your phone off you, they take your computer off you, and they send you out. If you win the first task, you then go to this big mansion, which is on Billionaires Road near Hampstead Heath. And you've got no communication with the outside world.
Something really interesting about that.
Go on.
I was a police officer, and that was my round.
Oh, what? Bishop's Avenue?
Yeah, Bishop's Avenue. So we covered all of that up to the A41, I think it is, done with the North Circular. So I was started in 2001 at Golders Green, Nick, and we went from like Cricklewood up that way up to North Finchley. Yeah, so I know the Bishop's Avenue incredibly
Bishop's Avenue,
well.
yeah. Yeah, it was good living on that road. But yeah, you've got no communication. You get 1 10-minute phone call a week. And the big question everyone always asks us, do you really have 20 minutes to get ready? And you do. You have to get downstairs for 20 minutes. So basically, you'd hear the cars, all the TV lot turn up in the gravel driveway. And then they're coming. So people start getting ready, if you like, and then you sort of pretend you're tired. But it's usually around about 3:34 in the morning, and you get back to the house sometimes at 11, 12, and you're up again at 4:30. So it's like sleep deprivation, which causes a few arguments and things. But yes, you don't have any contact with the outside world. I didn't even tell my mum and dad. So mum and dad ring them home. They were going, "You want a different mobile number?" So when it got to about 5 days before the show aired, this was all filmed in May and June, and then the show aired the January following. So I went home to Norfolk over the New Year period and went, right, in 5 days' time, The Apprentice is coming out and I'm on it. And they were going, shut up. And I said, I am So I don't try not to embarrass you and all this stuff. And when it came out, his phone's going off. You're a bloody right, you idiot. And I was like, no. So yeah, so I kept it quiet from most people until like 5 days before it came out, just in case something happened. But yeah, if you don't have no contact with the outside world whatsoever, then it's very difficult. And trying to run the business, and I'd have one phone call home once every 2 weeks. So I was there for about 6 weeks in the house, and then one to the girl in the office going, how is it all? Is it all right? Yeah, everything's fine. You think, oh my God. Yeah, so
did it do any good?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, so I mean, we won contracts off it. I mean, yeah, people would say like we did a few MPs' houses, and then word spread. And I went there's a very famous family around the world. If I said the name, you'd go, "Oh my God!" So we got off the back of that. They sort of heard about this guy's promoted over on the media and things. And they went, "Like, you come and do our pest control for our buildings and things." So that was quite nice. And that's when I released the book Pest to Peace, just because it was meant to come out the year before, but the team at the BBC, they were like, don't, just when you get fired, that'll be the best time to put it out there. So so I held off releasing the book for about a year, if you like. But that book was, you got to try and placate members of the public, as well as you got to be careful with the pest control world, because pest controllers are so, I don't say nitpicky, but they're going to pick fault in it and go, "What? That's stupid," or whatever else. So
what is he on about?
Pest control. Yeah, exactly. So I was sort of panicking, going, "Oh God," because there's going to be people picking up on the most silliest of things. Even
Jesus, you've been on Facebook, have you?
What's that? Yeah, go. Yeah,
yeah, but let alone putting it in writing in a book. Just got to say something wrong on Facebook, and you'll be fucking annihilated.
I know. I mean, I put a video up there once before, and there was a rat in a box. So is what I did. The rat was obviously sadly in a bad way, but I took the little bar out. So I thought, I want to get a good video. So I opened the box up. I should have killed the rat straight away, but I quickly pulled the bar out that holds the bait, and then closed the box, and then did a video of it. And then that was it. As you say, the keyboard wise, there should be a metal bar in there that holds the bait. Well, how are you securing the bait down? And you think, oh my God, here we go. I put it in the thing. I took the bar out. You know what I mean? Anyway, so but yes, I try not to do too much of that, because people, nitpicky. Everyone's trying to do their best, but yeah.
So do you do any social media for your business as such then, on the back of that, or just?
Yeah, not so bad. I mean, any sort of interesting job. So we collect all the dead animals from the River Thames. So Port of London Authority got in touch with us years ago, and we collect porpoises, which are dolphins essentially, loads of dogs. Like dogs are getting killed in a fight. Fighting dogs, and they're just thrown in the Thames, and they always wash up in a couple of places like Limekiln Docks, East London. But anything like that, such as I had a big moray eel, it must have been over 10 foot, and they were going, this can't be real. So I went down there, I've got this stunk as well, this big moray eel that had washed in from the sea down the Thames. I lined it up on this wall, and people were going, geez, that stinks. I got to remember the public said, can you take a picture? So anyway, I'm sort of holding it. That was social media, so that got a thing. And then the papers pick it up and go, oh, can you sort of do a little piece in the Mirror or the Sun or the Daily Mail? And you go, well, helps you, it gives you more credibility. So the more times that you're mentioned in these platforms, it gives you more credibility. And I've done things on Channel 4, the BBC. I was meant to be on This Morning not so long back, but that got cancelled. I got pushed off by someone else. But yeah, so yeah, it helps. But I don't do loads of social media. So yes. What about you guys? That'd be a no.
So I used to do a lot, but we've got to a point where we're sort of all okay where we are. Maybe I might start doing a bit more, but I think I've got a thick skin, and I worry for the people who don't have a thick skin doing it, because, as you've said, the pest control industry is a little bit brutal towards these people, and
knocks their confidence.
It's a very small minority. So I went through a stage where I was a little bit destructive with the post for pest controls. I'd put stuff on because I knew it would get a reaction. I used to sit and giggle and think, fucking knobhead, like, shut up.
That's good though. Reaction's good. It shows that people care, even though it's negative, but
it's not caring, is it? They just like to feel like they're better and cleverer than you don't. So I just used to feed into the thing, and then it has been good. We've got like 12,000 followers, I think, on TikTok.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, and I could grow it a lot faster if I wanted. If I was that way inclined, I'm sure I could. But I've got no interest in being a TikTok star. I've got no interest in being a YouTube star. I love being a pest controller. sometimes post some things if it's interesting, if I think people will get something positive out of it. But again, you know,
education, I always think that's a good thing as well. But as you say, there's a lot of people out there who want to knock you down, and that could just be members of the public. But yeah, I mean, when I was on, you know, that show, The Apprentice, some of the messages you get, it's just crazy. People just saying, "You're an idiot. How did you know?" And I mean, there were some things where I was like, "Hang on a minute, that happened later on in the task, but they've put it in at the beginning," and you're like, "You cheeky!" They've edited it that way, and then people get messages going, "You are a complete and utter idiot," and I'm thinking, but because I know I'm middle aged, I was 40 at the time, like, you know, 41 now, and I think, do you know what? I've had enough shit in the time in the military and things, and you know, you've got some 18-year-old who's wet behind the ears saying an idiot, and you think, oh, do you know what? I laugh at it, and I just used to write back if it was sort of, you know, on, like, if they commented on like a picture or not, it wasn't a private message. Maybe you go back to private messages, but if you're seeing, I just say, yeah, I know, I'm completely not an idiot, ha ha ha, and then people go, oh, that's it. He's agreed with me, so I've got no comeback to that. So that's what I used to do. So, but yeah, but as you say, if it's education, I always think it's worthy of putting up. But as you say, it takes too much time making content.
I think looking for customers on social media, I get a little bit down that one. If you do anything on Facebook, you're going to get every drongo in the world who wants someone really cheap, really good in today. So you're thinking like you're just marketing to the wrong people. If you go on LinkedIn, everybody is like super, like, it's just so positive. It's a lot of it's fake. I think social. I live by the thing of like you are what you consume. It used to be shows your friends and I'll show you your future. And now I think it's you are what you consume. So I try to consume what I want that I think is positive. I try to put a little bit of positive stuff out. And I don't get that much shit for it anymore. I went through a period where I got loads of shit for it. And I used to quite enjoy it. The lads would ring me up and I'd put something on. They go, "You've done it on purpose, haven't you?" And I go, "Yeah." Let's fucking Wally comments first. You know, they'll be like, "You're doing it," and I go, "I know."
During the pandemic, I was on a business course, and they said you need 5 points of contact, so you can be found 5 places. It could be review platforms, big ones having a website, social media pages, Google, review platform. What could it be? 5 points of contact. So I was like, well, I'll put one on YouTube. So it was the pandemic was on, and we looked after a gentleman's club in town in Chelsea, if you like. So I spoke to the owners and said, look, you've had a few problems because you've got dry lines, the rats coming out of the toilets. We look after you. Is there any chance I can have the keys for the day and I'm going to just do some filming? Because they had a load of problems with rats, mice, cockroaches, or whatever else. And it was actually buzzing at the time because no one had been there for bloody over a year. So like, yeah, just go for it. So they give me the keys. I got a cameraman and I put all these videos about, I think I did something like, I don't know, 20 videos or maybe a bit less in one day with this cameraman and the sound guy. And I mean, the moth video that I did has got something like 20,000, 30,000 views on YouTube now. And we get people ring up from like, you know, Wimbledon and go, hello, yes, we've got a lovely stately home in Wimbledon, blah, blah. And we've got moths. We see your YouTube video. And I think, do you know what? That YouTube video is earning me a good crust. And it was just one video, the moth one. The others have done okay. But at the same time, that was the platform. And it was just because I was pandemic. I thought, well, you know, I was told to make some videos as one of my points of contact. So YouTube will be another place people can find me on. And yeah, that moth video is just every week. Someone will say, yeah, we saw you on the YouTube video. And the thing is, well, be careful. There was no bloody moths in there. I found something that looked like a moth, and I was like, "Oh yeah," because you're trying to make up different pests. And I was going, "Oh, here's a moth, yeah, and this is it. So it's what we need to do. We need to spray a wet insecticide."
So hang on a second. So there was a moth video without a moth that's generated a load of work.
But because the carpet had been worn away in some places on the stairs, and I was saying in the stairs is usually where, you know, just, you know, around here, you know, we always get moth eggs in the crevices of the stairs because that's usually where most of the time the bloody carpet is. So. Yeah, and I found this, I think it was a little wood chipping, and from the camera, it looks like a perfect moth. And I was like, here's a moth, and they went in, zoomed in, but you can't really tell. And I thought, this is perfect. This is a moth video. This will do. And I'm talking about it and a few facts. And people always go, moth video. We thought we'd have you to come around the house. And I feel like saying, it was a piece of wood, actually, but yeah, the video,
we can still do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a moth there, but everything I'm talking about is correct.
We actually know what we're talking about, really.
Yeah, that's it. That's the main thing. It doesn't have to be a moth there, but we went through. But that was quite a good idea, like, doing them videos, and they've done really well. And again, it gave me that credibility. You seem to know what you're talking about. Like you were saying, Hugh, you know, your son goes into a property, sounds confident, seems to know what he's talking about. He must be, must be for us what we want. And then videos did exactly that for me, especially the moth one, which 30,000 plus views, I think it is now. And every week we'll get someone say, yeah, we saw the video on YouTube.
I've got to add in, he does know what he's doing now, because that was 15 years ago.
Oh, I'm sure.
Got loads of practice at the moth jobs now, any?
Yeah, that's it. They're sure they're not wood shavings.
Yeah, he's killed thousands of wood shavings in the last 15 years.
Yeah, that's
now, after a recent episode on Facebook, on the local area Facebook page about a rat issue, I've given up.
Oh, really?
I just can't. I can't be bothered with the abuse. Knuckle draggers, pest controllers are scum. Rats have got the right to live the same as everybody else. It was just, and it's just like, do you know what? We don't get any work from it anyway. So just
exactly. I got called a murderer years ago. I think it was about 2018. I was walking through Brixton. I pulled up my van in Brixton. It had pest control and things on the side. I got out, and there's a guy there smoking a joint. He's like, "You're a murderer," and I was like, "Who's he talking to?" He's going, "Yeah, you're a murderer." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You murder innocent animals." And he's shouting down in Brixton High Street. I'm thinking, oh my God, people are looking at me. So I was like, so I just went, "Fair dues, mate. What can you do?" So yeah.
So how come the book? How come the book though?
Say again, Hugh.
How come the book?
So the book, again, from the business course, they said the best business card you will ever have in your life is to write a book. So I wrote, so it's hard. Like I wanted to make the book interesting. So I put some like military stories of times I almost got hurt in the military, or maybe funny stories. So I tried to, in some ways, as best I can, I shoehorned a lot of the stories. So how a military, story will match up with a pest control story. You're in a, very serious situation with a disease, whatever it could be, you're getting shot at, and how you need to keep, a cool head in pressurized situations when you could be faced with, let's say, a rat trapped in a bathroom, together, and you've got to try and dispose of this rat. So that was it. But it was never to make money. It was to act as the best business card I could have. So when I've gone around to people's houses, I won't name drop or anything, but you go around and you go, you know what, I'll leave them a book. So I just say, here's a book I wrote. I just wanted to give it to all customers. Or I've left a tender meeting and they'll sort of say, who do we choose? And I'll go, oh, by the way, here's a book I wrote about pest control. And I'll leave that behind on the table, or a couple on the table. And, people think, bloody hell, he's wrote a book on the subject. Maybe this is the guy for us. And they'll never usually read it. They might flick through, look at a couple of the pictures in the military, and then go, we'll have him. So it's never to make money. It was always to be the best business card I could ever have. And to be fair, I've gone on, done talks, left it out, and, take a book, people, and, you get work from it. People come back to you and say, yeah, we'll have you. And, I dropped it around a professional football player's house the other day. I won't say who it is, but yeah, as PR was like, I said, can I leave a book in the toilet downstairs with all the books? And they were like, yeah, it's fine. So I just wrote, thanks for this work, to Mark, and I've left it in the downstairs toilet with all the other books. So yeah.
Best we get writing, Sean.
Yeah,
I'm dyslexic on it, so there's probably a couple of stumbling blocks in there somewhere.
I had to have a copywriting thing. It cost about $5,000 in total. So I'd written military stories over the years anyway, so they were pretty much, just needed a bit polished up. But after doing the copyright and even like some of the facts, I mean, there was a fact in there that I put, Walt Disney, who's the most famous musophobic. And I said Walt Disney because he was scared of mice, and he created Mickey Mouse because he didn't want other people being scared of mice. And that was sort of something that he'd said on a show back in 1930 something. And you have to, because I put that quote in there, you had to put it where it was referenced and where it came from first. So it was a nightmare trying to find all these little things that you have to put in the books. You don't find a reference for it, you can't say you've made it up. So that was the hardest thing. So at the back of the book, you've got loads of references of where they've come from. So, but that was quite a nice one, I thought.
So we know, but Neil's just asked, what is the name of the book?
The name of the book is called Pest to Peace. And if anyone wants one, send me an email or whatever. You'd have to pay for it. I'll send you a book out, but don't be too critical. Like I say, it's meant to be for the public as well. So there's very basic things of how to get rid of pests. And I'm sure there's a people in there, even like, I don't know if instead of fogging, I put fumigation in one of the sentences, and I realized.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I put fumigation, so I had to realize. I was like, oh no, I didn't put fogging, and I managed to change it before it went out because I knew what would happen. Pest controllers go, well, it's not called fumigation. You fumigate when you do rabbits, blah blah, and it should be, fogging. And I was like, I just can't be asked with the hassle. But thankfully, no one's from the pest control world has gone through it with a fine tooth comb and came back to me and given me too much shit over it. So, but yeah,
send me one.
I'll send whoever wants one. Anyone who's listening, I just
should have read it before the podcast. Really, that was a bit amiss, but
no, because you'd be giving me shit now, calling me a knuckle dragger.
Well, I've been reading this one.
I'm going to be like this lad. This lad doesn't know what he's on about. I've read his book. He said he was talking about fumigation, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, just if anyone wants one, Neil, if you want one, just send us your address, mark@pestgone.co.uk. I'll drop the guys a line of whatever, and just I'll send you one out. I've sent several out to pest controllers, and like I say, it's very basic, but yeah.
We've just been reading this one. Ready
Wild
for?
City.
Yeah, have you read that? That's quite a good one. That's so we've got Florence Wilkinson, the author of this one, coming up as well. So I'm 3/4 of the way through that one. So I should have read yours first.
No, any good?
It's all about London, so it would be interesting for you. Yeah, for sure. Completely different. It's a completely different thing than pest control. But yeah, so yeah, but it must be. It must be quite hard to write a book though, because I couldn't. I'd start and I'd write the first 5 pages and I'd be like,
Yes, that was the hardest thing. I even mentioned that at the last page of the book. I mentioned that, a lot of procrastination over the bloody finishing it. It was a nightmare, and how you finish a book. And yeah, it took me about 6 months in total, but a few weekends of just knocking down. But I had the military stories there. It was all to how you sort of, do case studies and things. And I tried to make it funny. But but when you've got a copywriter involved, I thought, well, I'm paying this money now. I've got to get it done. And I went back 3 or 4 times with a copywriter, put a few pictures in there, and jobs are good. But like I say, it cost about £5,500 in total. But again, it's hopefully that will stay for life. So as long as I'm in the pest control industry, I'll just keep giving that book out to people, and hopefully it makes it into the homes and businesses of people, and they'll use our services. That's the plan, anyway.
So you did. I did see you did. There was an MPTA article, wasn't it, or was it Pest Control News? You're thinking of selling, or
right? Yeah. So that was in it was Simon King. So
Pest, right? Yeah,
Pest magazine, and met a couple of times, and it's more to do with that. Everyone's getting bought up at the moment. Private equity firms are just buying everyone. I think Virgo seem to be the big players. I know they've just bought JG Pest Control, so I was speaking to them because we'd had a few sort of chats, me and JG, over a few things. But yeah, so that was it. So
was that more of a see what happens, or was that a definite I want to sell?
It was to test the water, to be fair, and I've had a few offers and things, and and it's tempting, as I think that the money they're offering, and I said this to Hugh earlier on, we could probably save in about 5 years as a business. And you think, well, in 5 years' time, I'm only 41 now. So I think, well, maybe if I do give it another 5 years, we'll go till I'm 50. We'll double what they're offering now, and then just sell it then, and then I can retire. So, it's hard, but it does really well, the business. And, it's just to test the water. But what would I do after that? I'd just be sat around.
It's a temptation, though, isn't it? Because say you're turning over, I don't know, pluck a figure out the air, 500,000.
That's
and then
that's honest. So we do 500,000 profits out of that. Operating profits about 250,000 before tax.
But then say they offer you, what is it? Some of them between 3 and 5 times profit. Some of them talking about.
Yeah, so 6 has been the highest.
So what were they offering you?
6 times the operating profits. So they've looked at. So last year we didn't do too well because of a few issues, but now we're on track to do what I just said, the operating profits listed right. So we would do 6 times that operating profit, and you think, Christ. So if you can carry on till the end of the year, so they said, well, this was the thing. So if you can go to April next year, next financial year, doing what you're doing now every month, then that offer of 6 times. So I mean, I heard from one of the private equity firms, or the solicitors, said one went for 7 times. I won't say which company. He didn't tell me which company, just told me where it was, and it was a bird control company. And they said it went for 7 times their operating profits, and the guys just retired. And I was like, what, 7 times? Because it's usually, as you say, 3 to 5, and I've been offered 6 if I can keep it till the April, the operating profits as they are each month at the moment. But I say, what would you do if you sell it?
Exactly that, because I was talking to my son about it, and we were like, well, if you did sell it, couple of years time, you've paid your mortgage, you paid your house off, maybe, if you're lucky, you bought a new car, and then it's like, but I need to live now.
Yeah.
What do I do now? So it's a
few options.
Carrot, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you can put it into the money into 5% interest account, like certain where you have money in certain different savings account. Virgin are offering 5% at the moment for a business account, or whatever you put it in, you put it into 6% if you've got a personal account on one of them. And you think, well, if whatever you've got, let's just say for sake, there's £1 million. So 6%, obviously you're earning 60,000 a year. You've got to pay 20% tax on that. So you're down to just under 50. And you think, well, can I live off 48 or whatever, 1,000 a year? Just on the interest alone, but you can't touch that money because that's what's earning you the interest. So you've got £1 million, let's say, sat in the bank earning you 48 grand a year. And if the interest rates drop, then you're not going to get that money anymore. So that's sort of a
but you've got to go to work, haven't you? This is what I can't get my head around. You've got to go to work, because if you're not working, you're spending.
Yeah, and you've got to have a purpose as well. That's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's quite interesting what that Neil said, because I've heard a couple of companies that have come a cropper on that. You have to be careful that if you do sell, there are often clauses that they have to retain so much of the business after it's sold.
Correct. So they give you 70% of the money, and if you've got I think it was 70% of the money up front, and then you've got to sign on for 12 months, stay with the business. You've got to keep hitting them targets. I heard from another company that the contracts, or the big one for another company, you need to have every contract you've got signed with clauses in there that it's a 6 month, they can't cancel within 6 months or 12 months or whatever it was. And we usually have a word of mouth contract. It used to be just, if you want to cancel it, you cancel it within 30 days notice, and then we're done. And it's just usually the health and safety, the folder, the things, risk assessment, method statements, and a little contract in there we both sign, done. But I've heard they're quite hot on it, certain companies, private equity firms. But yeah, Neil's exactly right. What he says, there's a lot of clauses. Even like
I've heard a few horror stories where people have sold and then they've come back for their 30% after the year, and the buying company has just been like, nah, you didn't hit the targets. You're out. No, you're not getting any money. You want the money, you take us to court. And it's like, and
don't forget, these companies, if they're just paying millions, but they can drag you to court, and you ain't got no chance of winning, because they'll just make you spend all your money on legal fees, and they'll just kick the can so far down the road. So it's, as you say, it's very, very it is a risky, as you say. Plus you've got to give 3% to the people, like there was 3% to the company who do the negotiations, the merger company, or the solicitors. That was 7,500 for solicitors. It was 3% to the company, and then you've got to get tax on the 10% on the first $1 million, and it was just ridiculous. And you're like, how much am I going to be left with? So yes,
yeah, for sure. So you were going to do something with hair products?
Yeah, that was just a little e-commerce thing, which is doing all right. So
no, good for me and Sean.
No, exactly. That's you're my target audience, to be fair, you two. No, it doesn't make it very bad.
Let's be fair, you've not seen my back.
Yeah, I mean, no, the hair products was something. I started an e-commerce business last year because I thought, the way the world's going, I mean, it's just ridiculous to the e-commerce. So it's just going the graph. So I thought, well, do you know what? I'll just start a hair product business just because I don't mind it. I find it interesting. I don't think I've got a bad bar on it, and that does okay actually. So it's just more doing a lot of social media ads, and that just pays for itself. So if I wanted to put more money into that and then push that more and start reaching out to, I don't know, maybe corporate clients, supermarkets and things, I will do. But that's just on the back burner. The pest control is 99% of my time. So, but yes, and maybe back.
So, are you looking to expand then through London, or is you just where you are and that's going to?
We cover all of London. We're based in southeast London, but we cover central, slightly up north, sort of N1 postcode. Sometimes Hampstead.
Means nothing to me. Anything past Bristol.
N1, not Islington.
Yeah, so basically inside the M25, possibly not as far as north as just inside the M25. But no, yeah, you know, and if it's so far out, I just give a stupid quote and I don't want to do it. You know, I add an extra zero, but you know, you go quite high with it, and sometimes they go, yeah, that's fine. You think, oh God, I've got to drive all the way up there now to go and do it. But no, I'm not going to expand. We've got it perfect now. We've got it, yeah, the optimum it's ever been. We've got don't pay for advertising. Like I say, I was paying 10,000 a month to Google when we first started. It was it was scary times, just constantly trying to get money in, just seeing what came in, went out, and then you got to pay people's wages, and then the tax bill come in. It was just awful. But now we don't pay for advertising. Yeah, it's great. So I feel very fortunate.
This is going to sound an excessively stupid question because I am a country man.
No stupid questions, as they say.
For the density in London, how many pest controllers are there? Are there like loads of them? Are they round every corner, or how?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can probably say within, I don't know, 500 meters of this, my flat, I know there's 3 pest controllers by their vans.
Wow.
Always sit outside. So there's so many pest controllers because there's so many pests. You know, I think I read a stat the other day that I don't know how true this is, but 1 in 36 to 40 buildings have mice, and I can totally see it. So I mean, I've been to so many properties I think I've done one street. I've been to all of them over the years with mice or rats or whatever, bed bugs. So that's good. But yeah, but London is just rife with pests.
Is there a large turnover of pest controllers then as well there? Or does everybody that wants to be a pest controller can make a go of it?
I think the hardest thing is people just sort of starting up their own business. It's very difficult not difficult to get started. It's just that belief and obviously the financial capabilities to start a pest control, even just getting your first van. But it's not difficult. The hardest thing is just trying to get the work in. That's the hardest thing for the first 2 years. And you may have to pay for advertising because obviously we've got a lot of competition. I think I used to pay, it was pay per click. We used to pay £6 to £8 a pay per click. Now, pay per click in London, 8 years on, it's £15 a click. So if someone sees your ad come up at the top of the Google page, they'll click it, cost you 15 quid, and they may not even call you. And if they do call you, you've got to try and win that work. And that was always the hardest thing. So it's doubled over the last 8 years of the pay per click. So yes. And
so how do the pest controllers, or this is a rhetorical question because I can guess, but how do they differentiate themselves with so many pest controllers density there? How do people pick out somebody? Do you think?
I think it's location. So everyone, as long as you put yourself on a Google map, so you speak to Google and you know they'll send you a card to your address. So it's my flat address. So people say, right, pest controllers near me, and Google will put you up first naturally, if you like. So that's the best thing. So they're choosing, they just look at reviews. So people say, I can't believe, you got over 200, whatever, 30 5-star reviews. So it must be okay. So people do their due diligence. And yeah, how they choose, I think they just make a phone call. And if you say, know what you're talking about on the phone, they're happy to go with you. And obviously cost is a big thing. So, I mean, I did a job today where a company had charged, they're not actually, I'll be careful who I don't name them, not a pest control company. They actually do something else, but they charge £1,400 for a bed treatment, someone heat treatment, 3-visit insecticide treatment, £1,400. And I said, well, we were nowhere near that. I said, well, I'll go around and I'll look at it. And then went round today in Greenwich, and it was 2 bedrooms in this tiny little flat. And I couldn't believe they'd paid £1,400 to this company who hadn't got rid of the problem. So I said, yeah, I knew where the bed bugs were. They were on top of the curtains as always. And then, said, right, we'll put the curtains in the washing machine, check around, do a treatment, and I'll come back in 2 weeks. But yeah, what, 1,400 quid they paid and didn't get rid of the problem. So yeah. Anyway, that's just one story of today. So yeah, it's just ridiculous what people are paying in London and money in certain areas. They just don't care.
So,
don't care, but people just pay stupid money.
How do you find the people that work with you then? Were they all ex-army as well? Or?
No, ex-reserves, but they just came through. They reached out to me, or one was a recruitment company, or they reached out to me. And one guy was working with a national firm, and he said it was just too stressful. I said, well, come work for me. It will just be set hours, and you'll be finished by 5 o'clock every day. I promise you. He's enjoying it. He tells me, but obviously not be lying. And yeah, we try and treat people. We give a Christmas bonus each year. We give them a pay rise each year. We try and match what some of the big companies are paying people. But it's all the work-life balance. We just don't work weekends. I say to everyone when they first turn up, we will not work weekends. Like, oh, I was working 1 in 3, nightmare. So that's a big thing. So it's that work-life balance. So yeah, not that they're going to be working from home like Keir Starmer was saying the other week, but no. So that's it.
Yeah,
what about you? How do you treat your staff? Has everyone got a work-life balance? You cracking the whip? How did you find yours?
One of our guys is used to work for another pest control company and came to work with us as a subcontractor. The other guy replaced another guy that worked with the other guy. So he was fresh and we trained him. And then there's my son and me in the office. So
nice small team. I think
I'd like to think we treat them well because one of them's listening and has commented.
Oh, good. But yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the way you treat people. We'll have a Christmas party at the end of the year in a fancy location, whatever it would be. Do you know what I mean? We try and treat everyone well as long as people turn up to work on time, do a good job.
I've stopped touching mine. Does that count?
What's that?
I said I've stopped touching mine now. Does that count as good? Right? Yeah.
What with the cattle prod?
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I don't expect them to like lace me boots up for us in the morning and shit like that anymore. Does that count?
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, I think.
On a serious note, I try to look after them. I do, deep down. It's something I struggle with because I proper take things to heart. Like I hate to think they're upset or what have you. But then there's also the point where you run the business. So in that balance it can be difficult because when employees always think that the boss doesn't give a shit. And like what they don't realize is they consume your thought, or they certainly do for me, they consume my thought processes, you know, and you're like, but you're trying to get that balance because ultimately they still want their mortgage paid, don't they, through the wages, and you're running that difficult thing all the time of, you know, keeping them happy or not, or sometimes you've got to get them to do stuff they don't want to do. You know, it would be great if you could give them everything they wanted, but then
exactly. But then you might get a bad egg. I mean, we had a guy who crashed the van 3 times in a month, and the insurance premiums just went through the roof. It was like, we just couldn't afford the insurance premiums when it came to it, and it, you know, there's a few bad eggs, but that seems to be the biggest thing I've done. Like, you know, you go to business courses or in London, I've spoken to a few people, and they always say, "What's the hardest thing?" It's staff. Trying to retain staff, and I think there's a massive problem at the moment, and I'll be careful what I say, but the younger Gen Z coming through, they're not as hands-on, or they don't want to do the long hours and the hard. That's what I think here. So all our staff are over the age of 35, which is great because everyone's still got that. But I took on a couple of people in there, sort of, you know, be careful what I say, but 2021, not turning up to work, and I was like, "What's going on?" "Oh, I felt ill." I said, "4th time you've been sick in the last month. What's going on?" So that was always the big thing. So I personally have said, right, I won't say there's an age limit, but I look at people in the full form, where they've come from, what jobs they've been doing previously, and say, right, are they right for the business? It does seem to be, even like looking around, you see a van go past, I always look at a pest control van and say, right, how old is he? And most of the time, they're 40s to 50s. Most of the time. Very rarely you'll see someone in their 20s, early 20s driving a pest control van in London.
They did, what was it that I can't remember the figure, but I think it's something like 60% of pest controllers are going to retire within the next 5 years.
Listen, it's always been that way. It's not like this has just crept up on us. People get into the industry late and they leave the industry late. That's what happens. Do you know what I mean? It's like in 10 years' time, you'll be saying the same things. They're going to retire. They're going to retire. They do retire, but people get to that point where they get to like 30, 40, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm going to have a go at that." You know, that's what happens. It just suits them guys, and then we panic and go, "Oh, you know."
I think the thing is, though, that's probably because, like you say, a lot of people do come into it later, don't they? Because let's face it, there aren't that many people at school that think to themselves, "I want to be a pest controller when I leave school."
And you don't have any qualifications, no disrespect to us and everyone, the wider community, but it's not too hard to actually be able to be a pest controller. Whereas other trades, it might be a bit more difficult. So they think, well, that might be an easier job to go into. And you know, you always get people who enjoy it. It's great, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And fair play to Bradley, who started his own company at 25. Good on you, mate.
Neil Bond started when he was 23 years old. He must have started about 37 years ago, did you, Neil?
I was 22.
I'm waiting for a ... during the war.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I think I met Neil when he was, I think it was a Peugeot 305 van, I think it was, for the first time. In I can't remember where it was, a beaten up old red Peugeot 305 van, I think it was. I think I was driving an Astra van at the time, a Rentokil Astra van. I think I'd taken the stickers off of it because I drove it to Spain with the kids in the back on holiday.
Did it? It just had that stick like they had in the tanks.
205, that's right. Yeah, 205.
I love it. You know,
and he's still got the same pair of Dickies overalls and green wellies from back then.
Good stuff. But yeah, staff is the hardest one. They say trying to keep, I don't know, not retaining staff these days. I think people, once they've been with you a couple of years, they can see the light and see the pay rise and things. I think that's always important. But yes.
So the plan is just to keep going, yeah?
I think so, yeah. So I've had many conversations.
Let's be totally honest. Unless I've picked this up wrong, the plan is to keep going till April, in which case you'll get offered the money that you want to.
But yeah, I spoke to I don't think it would mind me saying, Richard Knoll from Killgem, and he was saying he's never seen anything. It's best time to sell a pest control company. He's never seen so much interest in pest control companies.
But on the same hand, do you think that with that, it's also the best time to hang on to your small pest control business? Because as the bigger companies swallow up the smaller companies and they become this great big wheels of power conglomeration, and we've all seen what happens. They up royally in the first, while everything's being taken in and reorganized, and then all the customers are ringing up and saying, "Oh, we're using," and they don't know their ass from their tit at the moment. Can you come and have a look?
Yeah, I mean,
so I wonder.
Well, look what happened to Rentokil. They bought Mighty division, didn't they? 17 million, I think they paid for the Mighty division. And then the powers that be said, you can't do that. You've bought too much up. And then that went, I don't know what's happened to the Mighty division now. I look on Companies House and see where it went and what happened to it. But so things like that, they try and buy up too much too soon. And it actually goes back to bite them in the arse. But
that was more the Monopolies and Mergers Commission, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Whereas the ones that are buying them up at the moment are just, buying them up and bringing them in. And I think
they're not just going to buy them up and then go, right, where can we cut the fat and then start laying people off? Because that seems to be what happens in other businesses. They buy all these companies up. Where can we trim the fat? Let's make a few quid of profit and then flog it again. And that's obviously, hopefully business like ours will get some good staff off the back of it, but fingers crossed that's not what they're doing.
I think that it would be a good time for smaller companies, hopefully. Not, but don't get me wrong. I've always said to Sean and lots of people listening obviously Rentokil. They're a big company and they're still going for a reason because they are doing the right thing as far as business goes.
Well, Becca's right in what she said there. We see that all the time. Companies are getting bought up and they just put the price up so much and then obviously they lose customers. But yeah, whether they make that money, the customers who do stay with them or, but some of the costs you hear, I mean, it's ridiculous.
But don't you think sometimes they're putting the price up to what is the realistic price? Not that they're just bumping it up because they want more money. It's they are buying from buying a small company that's probably is still charging £45 for a wasp nest. And then they suddenly come in and go, well, actually, it should be £140 plus VAT for a wasp nest. And the customer's going, what, really? We haven't had a pay rise from the other company for 10 years.
But I mean, when I was first started, it was, I was hearing, well, domestic, I did one property and they said, oh, Rentokil charged us £600 for the 3 visit of mice treatment. And I was like, £600? And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, that's less than a third, I'm doing less than a third than that. So I think, well, maybe I should start putting my prices up, because you're not got the name in the industry. That's the big one, having the name in the industry. You're too scared to do that initially. So when you start getting good, reviews or whatever it is, then you can start slowly putting the prices up. But it all depends on geographical location. If someone in Chelsea rings me up and says, oh, I've got some mice, you might go a bit higher. But if I give that price that I've given for the Chelsea customer to someone down the road in Peckham, the phone just goes dead. So it's all relative of where you're based, things like that.
So
Absolutely.
do you think, is there any more room for another book, or is...
No, that's it. No, the book, like I said, it's just a business card, best business card I've had. So there won't be any more books. Maybe a hairstyle book in about 20 years when the business is sold, the pest control business.
Didn't you do?
Getting a copy?
Didn't you do a podcast? Another podcast on about the. What was the thing that you said about the being a memorable person and being the head of a company? I can't.
Yeah.
Wrong?
No, that's it. You got to be people buy into people, so you've got to be somewhat rememberable. So yeah, like I say, if you can put a face to a company, as I said earlier on about doing the thing in The Apprentice, if you put a face to the company, people trust that more. So Amazon, why do you think Amazon's doing well? They've got a face to look at. They want to like Jeff Bezos, but they've got a face to look at. Tesla, Elon Musk. If you can put a face to a company and you're memorable, people will use your service as long as you're decent. Now Amazon obviously get products out to you in a timely manner, and the product's usually pretty good, but they can put a face to the business. You can say other businesses you can't put a face to who are successful, but you can put a face to a business, you get yourself out there. It seems to work. I think it does, but I might be wrong.
Well, we're coming up to the hour and a half mark, so I better say it's about time to round things off. Otherwise, Alex will be shouting at me. Yeah. So,
3 questions.
Do you want to?
Oh, look, he's got it. He's got it. He's doing it. Yeah. I would go first, I think. Have you enjoyed your time on the podcast?
I have. Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been quite relaxed. Usually some of these podcasts are so formal and people ask you business questions and you get down to the weeds of it, but it's been quite relaxed. You can have a bit of a laugh, and the people who are asking questions actually seem like, nice people, and they're not giving any shit. So yeah, it's been good.
You're obviously not a very good judge of character.
Come on then. Give us a shameless plug. There's no point in plugging hair products to me and Sean. So give us a shameless give us a shameless plug.
What do you mean shameless plug? Am I missing something?
Yes, any product, any service that you sell that you want to plug right now. Imagine you've just walked on and your ideal customer is listening to this, of that product or service, the thing that you get the best
buy
return
my book,
whatever it is. Yeah. Buy my book.
Okay, yeah. I've got a fantastic book out called Pest of Peace. It's great for the public. Pest controllers might find it a bit too basic, but it's got some fantastic pictures in there and some great war stories, as well as some funny stories and serious ones, sadly. But yeah, Pest of Peace. It's the best book out there
ever written.
Best book. It's like War and Peace, but better.
Yeah, easier read.
A shameless plug. But but no, thanks for having me on. It's been it's been fun.
One more question.
Who would you like to see on? Who do you think would be a good guest?
Who do I think would be a good guest on here? I'd like to see? Is it Andy? Who's the Rentokil owner? Chairman Andy. I've sent him a message before. Is it Andy? Can't think of his name. He would be good. I listened to a podcast with him where he spoke to a merger company in one of Guy Ritchie's pubs, and it's Andy Ransom. Get him on.
Okay.
I did send him a message on LinkedIn when I was on The Apprentice, and I said to him, just want to say I listened to a podcast with you on. I thought it was really educational. It was nice to hear from sort of the top person, and I don't see you as the enemy as much these days. And he came back and he said, thanks, Mark. All the best to Pestgone.
Fair enough.
You've made it. Yeah, you've made it. Hit that big time. Got a reply.
Right. And on that,
yeah. Happy
off
days.
we go. Thanks ever so much for coming on, Mark. It's been great.
Thanks very much, guys. All the
Appreciate it. See if I can
bless.
get this right.
Thank you for listening to the Beauties and Beasties podcast. Thank you for listening to the Beauties and Beasties podcast.